Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence. How you doing? A big mahalo for tuning in, and I hope you're doing great. This weekend we have a gifted entertainer performing in the islands, and it is a real pleasure to get to talk to this cat finally myself. His career has been based around delivering tight ska, catchy grooves, infectious hooks, and it started in the late 70s, first with the English Beat, or The Beat, later with General Public, solo, with other projects. We're fortunate he's going to do 2 dates in the area, Saturday night in Lahaina at the Hard Rock. Sunday, he heads to Oahu. He's at the Soho Mixed Media Bar right here in Honolulu, where I'll be seeing him. It's a pleasure to have on the line from the English Beat and General Public, guitarist, singer, songwriter, talented frontman, Dave Wakeling. Aloha and mahalo, Brother Dave.
Hey, fantastic. And already in Hawaii a couple of days before the show, so it couldn't get better than that.
He is here.
I don't know, there was a lot of rainstorm talk for today, but it hasn't got to Maui today, maybe tomorrow. You getting rain or something there?
We've got the warnings that it's coming, and like you, I'm kind of hoping that it holds off or takes a different direction.
Right.
So,
winds.
Say again?
The fair trade winds, that'll be good.
Yeah, right. They usually can, you never know here in the islands.
No, that's right. I could tell that, even they say the weather, different parts of the island's different. So I just figured that it's the same as, I live in California now, 20-odd years, 25 years. And most times, wherever you've just gone in America, Canada, Europe, wherever you've just been, as you get off the plane in Los Angeles, the weather's better. Home,
Totally.
And it's usually, there's not very many places where you can get on a plane in Los Angeles and you can more or less guarantee the weather's going to be better. So far, I've always been lucky that Hawaii has always lived up to the challenge. It's, coming from a place where it rains sideways 6 months of the year and it's freezing cold, like hits you like acid or something. To be able to walk in the rain and it's the same temperature as when it's not raining, you have no idea how weird that is.
I bet. It's a lovely feeling for sure. And the cool thing about you, I know you were just here a couple years ago in '09, I guess it was. I was hoping you would kind of take me through your personal history with the islands. When was it that you first came here, Dave?
Not till 90. That was the first time I came. And I got married the first time I visited on Kauai.
Wow, so you can't...
Yeah. Now, saying that, I don't think we ever got brought here in the 80s. I think I'd remember as if I did. I think we tried a few times and never quite made it somehow. But, I got married in Kauai and up the Fern Grotto. And two things, really, ever since then, and I've been back a few times, two things strike me. When you go in a helicopter or you see it from the aeroplane, you notice how similar the fields are divided to the fields in England. And you also notice a similar sort of etiquette amongst guys, particularly the bar room etiquette. It's more like England than America, where I've lived for a long time. It's got a very English twang to it that, so long as you behave yourself, you're pretty welcome anywhere, but you step out of line, somebody's going to pop you.
You've got it down.
So I felt like I knew where I was immediately in a Hawaiian bar. I was like, I drank here before in Birmingham.
That's great. So your first time was just for the wedding, and you didn't play that time, huh? That was just...
Very lucky, really. I got a week of honeymoon, then I got married, then I had another week of honeymoon, just to make sure, and went back and had a party in Los Angeles, showed everybody the photographs, and had like a tropical theme to the party.
Nice.
But instead of inviting everybody else for a cold chicken dinner, we came back and let them give us a chicken dinner.
I like it.
They liked it. And, there's something, I suppose that people who live here probably get sick of wide-eyed tourists going on about it, but I always feel a little bit more spiritual and stuff when I come here. I find myself wanting to meditate and things, or finding that it's easy to just be so astounded by the natural beauty and the climate that you relax enough to, you do feel you could commune with nature more than you could some other places. So I've always I always enjoy meditating and stuff. It's almost like you can hear the plants growing here, can't you?
Yeah, well, that's and I think on your point, I think that people who live here are maybe the average tourist. They've certainly heard the accolades about Hawaii a lot, but when they hear from an artist like yourself, I think it takes on a different dimension because it allows a connection to be shown between you and your music and the islands. And on that note, sort of. And I'm sure you noticed this many years ago, I'm assuming you have, that Hawaii has a strong connection to both ska and reggae. And I'm curious when you first noticed that.
I was surprised from the very first time I visited, and then living in California from, I suppose, the late 80s, you noticed how many Hawaiian reggae bands there were. Well, I suppose from as soon as you visit, you see the similarities in terms of the climate could be like the Caribbean. I suppose it's the closest sort of climate I know, other than Mauritius in the Indian Ocean or something. So it's that same kind of vibes, and but it has actually a stronger tradition, I think, with a sort of peace, love, and unity vibe in Hawaii than the Caribbean does. And I noticed that what was the peace, love, and unity vibe of Jamaican reggae of the 70s into the 80s and sometime thereafter has been much replaced with the sort of more gangsterish vibe of, that accompanies dancehall so often, and not quite such a tolerant vibe as well. So I think that's interesting. It seems that reggae on Hawaii seems to have outlived reggae in Jamaica.
And I knew you'd have some interesting commentary. That's one. Another one on that same tip is it is fascinating how you could look at Hawaii as a place where you would assume the early reggae, which was in a lot of ways protest music and dealt with people who were oppressed by their government and oppression, you would assume that would have some sort of resonance here because there is a similar kind of history, if you will, between Hawaii, its colonization by the U.S. and so forth. Yet, what you just pointed out is actually the case. The kind of the way that reggae is incorporated here, despite Bob Marley's presence everywhere, it really is not so much about the protest or the serious political side of it. It is very much about the love, peace, the feel good side.
Well, yes, but I wouldn't just diminish it to the feel-good side. I think it's being able to show tolerance, being able to show love, being able to turn the other cheek. All of those things are very lofty aims. I think it's past just feel-good, isn't it?
I was generalizing. I didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to diminish what you. Hawaiian people have been through that much. I think that it's. Feeling that the dignity in life is based on love and unity and tolerance and a genuine warm spirit. That sort of thing gets born out of suffering, doesn't it? In the same way as people think that, the reggae beat is a happy beat.
Right.
But often it was a beat of survival, really. It was something to dance to instead of dinner, not something to dance to after dinner.
Right, exactly.
So probably that's why it appealed to English people, I think, and it's probably that same sense here in Hawaii, because when it becomes a matter of survival, then it's not just joy as a sense of feel good. It's a real tool to help you get through another day. Remembering, I suppose, that the music does that. That life is still beautiful and can be noble, even though it most often is tragic, or it ends up tragic, or as our lives go on in years, that's what we collect most of, is more and more tragedies. And I suppose the trick is, can you let your heart break open and still have an open spirit about things? Well, I try to with my music, but I think that's really more to do with the Hawaiian spirit that I feel than just a sense of feel good. Where we do that in Birmingham with 4 vodkas and in a jug. Call it a drink,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's all of what you said. I guess I was encompassing all of the spiritual and the positive sides of reggae when I was saying feel good. Just that in a land that has had so much oppression and so much, as you noted, like people's dignity being pushed to the side, it is amazing that the vibration here is one that is so positive and reciprocal, embracing, tolerant, as another word that you used is a good one. When you were thinking of, when you were coming together as a musician yourself and in the world of Birmingham, I'm a huge Sabbath fan, so I sort of am familiar with Birmingham.
I used to go and watch them play football, soccer in the streets when I was about 12. They used to play soccer in the streets in Lozells, and it was one of the first groups I went to see. I think it might have been the first when I was about 12.
Was Sabbath?
Yeah, Sabbath, and then Led Zeppelin the following weekend, another local group.
What was it that turned you onto ska or reggae? I mean, if you could take me to how it was that it moved you.
The football games, really, I think. And so I'd been quite interested in Midland rock. I was proud that a lot of groups came from around by us. Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, I was awful proud of that. And then another band, Slade.
Right, Noddy Holder.
Yes, and they were quite connected with the soccer crowd and the skinhead crowd. And through my interest in that, and going to more football games, they quite often would use what was known as Trojan skinhead reggae at the time to keep the troops quiet, I suppose, or to keep people singing along instead of fighting before the teams came out. So that was really my first introduction to the reggae beat, was the kind of dirty, rude, Trojan, sexy songs, which hit me at about the age of 14, which is,
the right age for that.
The time of your first uncomfortable gropings. So mine coincided with being with skinhead girls with white tights and white lipstick, and you didn't know whether you dared try and kiss them. If you did, whether they might just headbutt you, or just knock you out. You weren't sure to this wonderful, sexy Caribbean beat. Your uncertainty. So it was the perfect delirium, really, for a teenager, I thought. And you could listen to that, and you could also then go home and put your local homegrown Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin record on. And it all turned out fine, really, until Led Zeppelin tried to do a reggae song, and then we wished they just kept the two things.
Ironically, though, Jamaica's still quite popular on the radio.
Oh, I know white people still can't dance.
You know what, I'm just thinking out loud. That song would just lend itself perfectly to a ukulele, huh?
It could lend itself to a reggae version as well.
It could be either, but I just hear in like a...
Do both. We should do it. Yes, all right, we'll arrange it. We'll do a nice reggae groove on it to make up for it, and you be in charge of the ukulele bits, right? That'll be your part of it.
I just hear it sounding so perfect as you were doing the mouthing along to it. Right? The ukulele would just go with that.
All right, we'll do it at sound check in Oahu. You get it together. We'll learn the parts on when we get together for the show here in Maui. You bring the ukulele orchestra with you, and we'll hook it up, record it, and it'll be the theme song for your radio show.
I love that. The ukulele orchestra, too.
Yeah.
What's kind of cool about talking to you is before, I've been really fortunate to live here for 9 years, but before I came and got the gig out here, I worked in Boston for a long, long time at WBCN.
BCN, oh my gosh. Love the BCN. Oedipus, eh?
Oedipus, Charles, Mark Perrino.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Well, it was one of the first stations that ever played us, and in those days it took a little bit of courage, which was nice, and they sort of championed us. I think Boston, Toronto, and San Diego, those were the biggest cities for the Beats as we started to become more known and more popular. And it was mainly because of the 3 radio stations in that town, I think. Had a bit of courage at the time and took a flyer. Thank heavens it all worked out.
That's cool, though, that you give them credit. I was hoping you would, and you did.
Mm.
Yeah, and I saw you. I remember, I think you were there. Did you play the River Rave in 95? It was general public.
Yes, we did indeed. That's right, we did.
At the Hat Shell, it was like Better Than Ezra, you guys. I can't remember who else.
We did indeed, and we played there again. Oh, but you'd have been back here by now. You'd be over here by now. We played there a couple of years ago with Cake.
Oh, nice.
And Linval from the Specials came and joined us, and we played a few special songs.
That's very cool. We just had Cake here last year.
Oh.
Good guys. John McRae, solid brother.
Interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, very interesting. Their new stuff just dropped. But anyway, yeah. So that's so that does.
To do this thing, I tried to organise it, but it turns out, just like anything else, there's quite a lot of competition in different strands of public radio. But I thought that it would be. We quite often have tables that, like for Greenpeace or different organisations at our concerts to help spread the word, and people can give a donation or they can join up if it's some sort of membership thing. And it's usually worked pretty well, and my fans are kind of used to it and they like it. And I thought that a really good, worthy charity cause would be public radio, because of a commercial I heard for it in Los Angeles, funnily enough, with an English woman who made a point I hadn't thought of, that she'd only just moved over here and realised that whoever pays for the media gets to say what it is over here. And so she thought it was good to have a media that was generated by like public donation. She thought that was sensible, just in case things got run away with themselves. No, I hadn't never thought of it like that before, but always listened to it. I'm a big fan of Radio 4 in England. I grew up on Radio 4, BBC, World Service News and all of that. And so I listened to it a lot, and I thought it would be great to try and do something at the concert so that you could have a table that helped spread the word, or some kind of special bonusy sort of thing to try and get people to either make a donation or join up. But I could never find, there's too many different strands of public radio, so that if you hooked up with one set of people, well, the next time you got to a certain town, you'd really upset another set of people you liked. I kind of gave up in the end, which was a shame, because I think that, well, funnily enough, I've liked the talk radio side of it for years, ever since I was a kid. The same sort of stuff that you hear, where there's news programs and they actually do a follow-up 2 weeks later on what actually continued to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Which you don't ever get on the news in America normally, do you? It just happens, and then there's another disaster, really, and that's that. You know.
Oh, that's the...
How's Haiti doing? What happens to them floods in Pakistan? It's like, oh, dude, we've already had floods.
How about those Libyans?
You know, we've only just had Egypt. Now that's scheduling's terrible. So, but it's nice because public radio is one of the places they do a follow-up or have stories that show you a bit more depth about it. And so it's, I suppose, I don't know why I'm telling you all this, because I never figured it out how to do it, other than I still think it's a good idea. And now that public radio seems to be losing some of its funding, I think because so many of their fans probably do go to pop concerts of one sort or another, that I think it's a worthwhile tie-in, and we should try and do something about it so that a certain percentage of, either the ticket sales or the merchandise sales or something would go to public radio, and and they could maybe run a table at the concerts. I used to work for Greenpeace, and we had tables go all around the world, with like U2 and REM. So you could certainly set up local tables and have people explain why it's so important. And especially now that there's going to be less money. The only thing I hate about it is like the fundraising week. Oh, God. Got 4 minutes left and I need 6 callers. I need 6 callers right now. Okay? The minute 42, and then they start to get like either pathetic or really insulting. It's horrible. I hate it. It's like that's the only week I hate public radio then. It's like I don't like to see myself beg. Anybody else, it's always distasteful, isn't it? But I think there's a more noble way to do it, and I thought that maybe trying to raise awareness at pop concerts and try and raise some funds that way would be really useful, because it's going to be a more and more important asset to people, because you can see what's happening. You can see what's going on. Without community and compassion, we're doomed. No 2 ways about it. It's as simple as that. And public radio has been a repository of community and compassion.
We're very lucky to have support like that, and I second all of what you're saying, and I would definitely work with you on trying to help you find a way to partner. I think your idea is a good one, and certainly a good way to get exposure. And you're right, it's a segmented thing. There's NPR, and then there's all these little stations like us that carry the NPR. So
that's right. I got involved in it for a little bit, and it got more complicated than the politics of the original lineup of the Beats. So I gave up.
Right. It's like trying to reunite Sabbath.
I would try and original lineup of the Beats as soon as we were invited to by the original lineup of the Clash. Until then, bother me.
When you talk about that, good lead-in for a question I've had, because I know a lot of fans here are going to want to know why. What's up with you and Ranking Roger not being together? What is it that keeps you guys from working together?
It ended up as being 2 balls in a pen, really, I think, which it's a bit daft. But, I mean, he runs his group in England, and so if we were to work together, I don't think he'd want to become Sergeant at Arms again, second in command, I ended up, he was sort of my junior in age when we started, and so it had that kind of apprenticey sort of vibe, but then we both grew up together, but he lent himself to some very cool things, but he didn't write hits. And so I think he thinks that I get away with calling the shots too often because I wrote the hits. That's what it is in essence, I think. I'm sort of got past that a long time ago and think that what we did together was kind of better than what either of us had done separately at the time. And more than that even, the image of me and Roger singing, dancing and being happy together back in the day, in the 80s, meant a lot to people all over different cities in England and America, where people were only really just starting to have friends of a different colour.
Right.
So it was, we didn't realise it at the time either, but it was the Petula Clark and, oh good heavens, what's his name? Black American singer, and it was on a TV show and he touched her arm, right?
Which guy? You're not talking about a female or male?
Yeah, male. Actor, singer type, oh God, how terrible, I should never have brought it up and then display my ignorance that way. But anyway, we ended up being a pivotal moment for a lot of people who thought, oh, it was okay to like that sort of music, or it was okay to have that sort of friends, and took me and Roger as a bit of an example at the time. We were proud of that at the time, and so I'm sort of more interested in that. I'm more interested in what the people who like our music think of the pair of us rather than what we might think each other thinks of each other.
That's the way to really look at it. That's, in my opinion, that's the way to address the magic that was and could be and still will be and is, I guess, the two of you when you're together. And it doesn't diminish, because I haven't seen you solo, but it doesn't diminish from your solo thing. But I think what you said was really, it had a lot of guts and balls to say that the combined unit of the two of you is stronger than you guys separate. And I high-five you a couple times for having, the courage to say something like that. And on the flip side, when you think of the songs and some of the other things you were just saying, like, let's talk about a song like I Confess. It's there are two songs that I'm really hoping are in that set list when you come.
One of them, yep.
And tell me about that tune. Where did it come from?
It's like a mixture. I think, for me, the best songs are a mixture of reality and fiction. So there's elements of real life in there. There's elements of like one of those confessional comic, with the bubbles that come out of people's mouths.
Right.
Bubbles. There's elements of that, because I was kind of obsessed by those, and once I got into a pop group, I got to be in a couple of those. So it was as though it was looking at life as if it was like that, a sort of soap opera, exaggeration of everything, and there was a sense of it, I think, that like when you're watching a soap opera and you think it's ludicrous, and then somebody says something and it's exactly what you said a couple of weeks before. Or the situations that's so similar. Like, oh my God, you get embarrassed for yourself, So there was a sort of confessional quality about that, and really I suppose underlying it all, that the confession was that you didn't really care, which is the hardest thing as a teenager or as a young adult to say when you're in a lover's argument. Mm-hmm. Argument is always about who cares the most. Well, if you just cared as much as I did, well, you obviously don't care as much as I do, and that sort of thing. And so the confession is, if it's all the same to you, I'll stay indifferent. I can say,
man,
and that's sometimes that's the hardest thing to confess, is that you either don't care or that you've given up caring.
It's got really cool lyrics that you've just explained, and it's just your voice, dude. I gotta say, your voice sounded so good on that song. You just had these...
Nailed that one, didn't I?
Oh, dude, you...
Now, for the last 30 years, I've had to try and nail it every night to follow, so I've got quite good at it, and the boys in the band lend a hand on the falsettos, and normally we nail it, and people are really impressed. Some people think it sounds groovier than the record, and we hit the notes. So
I can't wait. I will be rocking it. That's one of my favorites.
Soon, then.
Say again, brother?
You said there were 2 tunes, so...
Yeah, save it for later.
Oh, yes, easy. Yeah, that one's always in the set. And we've really got that down now. It's only the same 3 chords all the way through. It's a matter of mood, and sort of it's got a hypnotic sort of vibe to it. So that song's down to the dynamics of it, how loud it gets in the choruses, and how it drops down, the different textures you can get out of the same 3 chords going round and round. I think you'll be... If those are the 2 that you're looking for, I think you're going to be particularly pleased, because we often bring the house down with favourite places.
Oh, and of course, and you should. I mean, I mention them because they're epic songs, and if people haven't dug them out recently, I encourage them to. Save It for Later is really what I would call a classic. I Confess is just a brilliant pop song, and if the hook doesn't sink its teeth into you, then I'm not quite sure what to say, because for me, it's just one of your great numbers. And as a final note, when you...
Real for me in those, though, is that I use those songs to place them judiciously around the new songs. and try and get them to pick up a flavour. So I'll put something like a new song called The Love You Give Lasts Forever, and I'll put it straight, like right between Rough Rider or right after Save It for Later, so it'll pick up a vibe from the song before. And it's good. I transplant the new songs around the set to try and pick up different vibes. If you think that something's not quite rocking enough, then stick it in the set after Twist and Crawl.
Right.
And it'll pick up on the rock edges.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Songs get transplanted around. It's a bit like that complementary gardening, you know, that organic gardeners do. So I'm told.
No, I totally do. And they complement one another. They reinforce each other.
Yes, that's right. So for me, a lot of the fun is in trying to make the old songs connect as better than they've ever connected before, and to try and execute the new songs as accurately, to try and nail the fledgling emotion of them. What's the general tenor of the emotion you want to leave to the audience? And that's starting to work really nicely. There's a handful of new songs that we're playing in the set now, and I've just started recording, and people are asking for them at the T-shirt counter quite often. And I don't know whether it'll be EPs or an LP. We're not really sure. We're just going to record and see what happens. But it'll either be called 12 orgasms in an hour, or Dave Wakeling's in a woman. On a good day.
You call them both that and put one in parentheses.
You know, that's right. I hate that when people couldn't work out the name of their single, so they'd have one in parentheses.
I love it.
And new classics I was thinking of.
That's a good one. That's a catchy.
New classics.
Volume 1.
Yeah, volume. Limited edition, 4 million.
Right, yeah, limited, right. Limited edition. I like that. Well, Dave, I give you a big hug, a high five. I'm looking forward to hanging with you on Sunday here in Honolulu, and I appreciate your time very much today. It's been a pleasure getting to chat. I hope you've enjoyed it yourself.
You know, sitting on a balcony, looking at the waves breaking, talking to public radio, it don't really get much better, you know. Hello. The doctors tell me my name's Dave Wakeling, and with these new tablets, I'm doing ever such a lot better, they say. They've given me a radio, and I'm not allowed to listen to anything really violent or anything like that, but they let me listen to the only show that really matters with my friend, Dave Lawrence.